Hello YouTube, VETOED here. I would have put my face in the camera, but I'm quite literally 6 inches away from it, and I don't want to just spook you guys, so I will refrain from being in the camera, and I will just use my hands to make some gestures and kind of get you guys a feel of how I feel. Anyways, welcome to a very different video from usual. This is actually a controller review, or at least, I guess, first impressions, because I've only had this controller for a day. I'll preface it by saying that, but obviously I've played with it quite a bit already. So this controller is the Duke remake by HYPERKIN. This is not the original Duke. The original Duke comes from the original Xbox. You can see the logo of in the center. So this controller is a remake, kind of like a throwback experience type of deal. And something I want to show that's really cool that they added as a feature, because originally there was just like a little Xbox logo here. This is actually a screen. You can press it when you're turning on the controller, and it does the original Xbox sequence boot thing, whatchamacallit, which is pretty cool. Little animation there, cool throwback. So I want to preface by saying that this review will be based on how this controller is on its own as a standalone. It's really how does the Duke hold up in 2020, more so than is this a faithful remake to the original. Because I will start this video by saying that the first impression is that this is very true to form. This is definitely exactly like the original felt. This, like, even though my hands are a lot bigger than back in the day, this feels still very overwhelming of a controller. Like there's a lot going on, and even though my hands are big, like I still kind of struggle to, like, if I hold my controller normally like this, I still actually struggle to reach the white buttons, right? Like the black and white buttons right here. If I'm holding controller normally, like it is a stretch, right? I have to move a little bit, so it definitely still feels pretty big. It's got a good weight to it. Honestly, I think this might be because I removed the rumbles in this controller. I modified it so it's a little bit lighter. So I think that might be a factor that kind of messes with my brain right here. So I think, well, actually I have a real controller here that, yeah, this one is not modded, and yeah, this is pretty similar to this controller actually. This is pretty similar. This controller is also 100% wired, so if you unplug the wire, there's nothing, it's not connected. Which, you know, honestly is a bit of a shame. I really like my wireless gaming. I think the wireless technology is really good now, so I enjoy this personally, but it's not a deal breaker. I understand that Microsoft has their own wireless technology they're not necessarily trying to share. Even though it's worth noting that this controller is officially licensed as an Xbox product. Yeah, unfortunately they do not have the wireless tech in it. But it is worth mentioning that there is a little there's a little entrance here. That's not the word I'm looking for, but there's a little, I guess, enclosure where you can put your cable, and it makes it a little safer and less likely to break because it goes all the way in there. Definitely would have been nice to see them go with a USB-C though. That's something that I've been wanting to see Xbox controllers go with for a long time. I know the Elite Series 2 has one, so it's not impossible. So in addition, there is some new bumper buttons. You can't really see them too well because my lighting sucks, but there are little bumpers right here which were not here on the original controller. These mimic the white and black buttons. Or I guess since it's modern games now, I guess the white and black buttons mimic the bumper use in modern games, if that makes sense. So if I press the black button, it's the same as pressing RB. And if I press the white button, same as LB, right? So these two buttons right here cannot be remapped, nor can the bumpers. Personally, I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity. I think this would have made this controller potentially compete with something even along the lines of the Elite controllers, cuffs, etc. Controllers using paddles. I think that is kind of a missed opportunity. I think, seeing how this is an officially Xbox licensed product, Microsoft could have been able to, like, kind of find a workaround for that, or like figure something out, but unfortunately it's not a thing. So you can't remap these buttons. When you open the app, it just treats it as a regular Xbox One controller. Also, it is definitely, the bumpers are a little bit hard to reach because they're like all the way up top, right? And yeah, for small hands, I feel like you might struggle a little bit. I have pretty big hands, so my fingers overlap quite a bit, but I don't know, maybe if you have small hands, or you're just like, I don't know, it could be hard to reach for small hands. I'm not too sure. Also, it's worth mentioning that there's a much bigger gap between these two buttons as opposed to an Xbox One controller where the bumpers are literally touching the triggers. So there's really no space. You can literally just like have your one finger ready for both. You can't necessarily say that about the this controller, because there is quite a travel time. Let's say if I play like this, you know, it's not really efficient by any means. So you would probably want to play like this if you're trying to play some fast-paced games, some action games, some shooters or whatever, fighting games. You would probably want to play with 2 fingers. And this also brings me to my next point. Since you have to use 2 fingers for the trigger and the bumpers, when you're on this side, right, and you're trying to claw, if you don't know, the claw grip is like this. So you press your face buttons with the side of your finger, right? So this allows me to aim, and I can press my face buttons, and like, I have this finger to press bumper and trigger. Bumper, trigger, right? So this is how I play Halo 5. This is needed so I use this to thrust, switch weapons, sprint, reload. So this allows me to do all this while aiming and doing my movement, right? Now, since these are pretty separate and you need 2 fingers to use these, so when you're trying to claw, right, you need, well, you can't really like reach. You can, but it's really not, you know, it's not the greatest thing. So you need to claw kind of like this, right? I call this the elite, or the word grip, where you have 4 fingers essentially, right? And you have this finger holding the controller up behind the trigger, and you have the ring finger on the trigger, ring finger on the trigger, middle finger on the bumper, and the index finger on the face buttons, right? And this is your claw grip if you're trying to claw with this controller. And honestly, it's like, this would be doable, okay? I will say this would be doable, but the problem I personally have is that these buttons are in the way of clawing. Subconsciously, when I'm holding my controller like this, right, my finger is resting like this when I'm clawing, I think of these 2 buttons as Y and B, because on a regular controller, well, Xbox One controller I should say, this is Y and B, right? And this is where my finger would be normally. But in this situation, my finger is right here. And subconsciously, I think this is Y and B, but it's actually jump and melee when I'm playing bumper jumper. These are my bumpers, right? So this screws me over. And mentally, it's extremely hard to adjust because look at how like split your hand is when you're trying to claw like this. And like, if you're trying to reach your finger in the center of this, you're in this really stretched out, like awkward dinosaur hand position, and it's very hard to adjust mentally as a claw player. It sounds kind of stupid, but I've made so many mistakes subconsciously while playing. Like, I'm just trying to, I don't know, I'm trying to just button combo someone, I just start jumping or like doing something stupid. I'm just like, oh god, it is the worst. And you know, maybe I could adjust to that over time, but I will be honest, I don't really see the point. You know, why would I unlearn something that I've already mastered in this controller? Like, I've spent so many more years on a controller with this form factor through the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. This is the controller shape I will be using and keep using. There's no real point in learning. It makes sense. I spent like so much time on this. This is a better form factor. This is better for hands. So sure, I could try and learn this controller, but I could tell that over time it was probably not be good for my hands and probably make me play worse. Because even then, even if I did like commit to this controller and got better with it and like mastered clawing with it, there is still the issue that the thumbsticks are actually different. These are not like the standard thumbsticks. Like, this is also a throwback. This is true to the original, but this thumbstick is actually like domed a little bit, and it's not truly concave. Like, you don't really get to place your thumb inside of this little dip you see right here. It's not like this one right here, which is kind of a shame, because honestly, if they put this one right here, this controller would be upgraded in my opinion. But I understand that they're going for a throwback experience, true to form, true to original, and that is completely fine because it does a great job at being a throwback experience. But personally, I would have looked into potentially modernizing the thumbsticks here. Also, it's a small thing, but if you're a scoreboard checker like me, you try to figure out when the opponents are spawning again, you want to press your scoreboard, and oh, it's not here. now it's down here. So this is a bit of a factor. Like, it's not really a big deal, but I definitely find myself trying to just press my back button right here, and it doesn't work. So yeah, this is something that requires a little bit of adjusting. It's not really a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it is something to take into account. So all in all, this controller is definitely interesting, but I want to say that it also made me appreciate how much the Xbox controller has actually evolved over time. To me, this controller, like this shape, this form factor, everything about this controller is a clear upgrade. Like, when you just compare them and just look at them, if everything from the form factor, the shape, the button layout, everything makes more sense. This is definitely more of a relic of the past, if that makes sense. This is pretty much a $60 time machine. You get that and you put it in your hands, you're like, whoa, I've gone back like 15 years all of a sudden. Like, what just happened to me? And you just reminisce all those great times you've had landing Halo 1 and Halo 2 with your friends, and you're just like, wow, this is a vibe right here. This is a controller that I started seriously gaming with. And that's really what this controller is. And it does a fantastic job at that. And it's especially great to play with the Duke when you get on some Halo 2 PC or something. A one-in-a-lifetime type of re-experience you get. And it's pretty cool. Like, it's perfect for that. However, as a cloud user, I'm pretty dead set that like this is not optimal for me. Like, I just cannot do the things I would do normally. Like, just trying to run combo, I have to just, yeah, I don't know. I can definitely tell that I cannot cloud properly with this, and no matter how much time I spend, like eventually I would get decent, but it's just everything about this is too awkward. Like, you can't just be holding a controller like this. Like, what is going on here? This makes no sense. And on top of that, this thumbstick just honestly is not for me. Like, I just love Xbox controllers for this shape right here. This form factor right here for thumbstick is perfect for me. This is what I want out of thumbstick, like this shape. This is the reason I hated the DualShock controller for a long time. They fixed it, thankfully, but it really left a sour note on me, and this controller kind of does the same thing. It's a little bit better, but just trying to play Halo where you have to click like a stick that's sticking out a little bit, just, I don't know, it's doable, but it's just so much worse than a thumbstick like this for me. Just trying to press this, it kind of slides to the sides a little bit. It's a little bit awkward, kind of a deal breaker for me. But once again, it's just compared to what we have as options in this day and age. Just looking back at the Elite Series 2 controller and how you have adjustable tension, adjustable shapes, like, you know, just having one shape that's not really great to click on, that can be avoided, is all I'm saying. But once again, this is meant to be a throwback experience, and this is how it was back in the day, so it's great for that. And last but not least, I don't really know what the durability is like on these. Obviously, I've only had mine for a day, so it's kind of hard to make a judgment call. Right off the bat, I can tell you that it feels sturdy though. Like, I don't feel like I could just snap this in half or something. Whereas sometimes with these controllers, I feel like if I put enough pressure towards the center, it's kind of starting to bend. But this, like, nah, I think, yeah, no, this feels sturdy. But I don't know, I've heard people say that you might get drift eventually. I've just had some ominous tweets for no reason when I said that I got this controller, so I got a little worried. But, you know, in that sense, I don't have the biggest expectations. I think, I'm not trying to throw shade, but Xbox controllers are pretty known to break fairly easily, so hopefully Microsoft can just start addressing durability. Anyways, yeah, that was my Duke in 2020 review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, this controller is made by HYPERKIN. It is available for usually $60 USD. Yeah, let me know if you like this type of video. I really wanted to make a review with my Elite Series 2. I kind of forgot about it before I returned it. You know, maybe one day I'll get another one. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if that was a cool, different type of thing that you would like to see more of in the future. And thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.